Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today I have a little project. We have been having an issue with birds getting into our chicken coop, and we had addressed that last year. And I'll show you what we did, and it's worked very well for us for a period of time that the birds have figured it out. So we're going to see if we can do some improvements to that and keep them out of our coop, because obviously we don't want the birds in there. We don't want diseases and stuff to transfer from birds to our chickens and stuff, so we want to keep them as isolated as possible. We can't keep birds completely out of their enclosure, but we don't want them into the coop where they're resting at night, or where their feed is and stuff like that. We do have feed in the coop, and some people would say, well, just don't put the feed in the coop. But I don't like to keep a large amount of feed outside. I'm more worried about rodents with that. So we do have some feed inside that can stay dry when it's rainy out. We do deep bedding out here on the ground, so we do try to feed them on the ground, get them to stir up everything that's here. And we do give them the scraps from the garden. When we're weeding the garden, we'll throw the weeds and stuff in here that are safe for them to eat. But here's where we're having our problem. We do have a run chicken automatic door which I put on, which I've been very, very happy with. It's worked very, very well. And it does open slightly just after sunrise, and it will close just after the sun goes down and it gets dark. But we installed these plastic hanging sheets, and that kept the birds out for quite a while. They've learned to come in down here. So what I'm going to do is make up a new set of these sheets with a little bit heavier plastic, because I think the chickens have learned enough. And I'm going to put it on the back side of this opening, so it's closer to the front. There'll be no gaps down at the bottom here, and we'll see if that'll keep the birds out. So we're going to get some plastic to put down in front of that door, like we had in here before. Got some remnants from our greenhouse fabric, so we're going to grab some of that. It's our solar setup in our shed here. This part is our shed and our barn. So after thinking about it a bit, I'm going to leave the inside ones there too. I think it adds a second layer of protection. Let's see if they're willing to come inside. It is different. So we are going to take and check later on this evening, make sure they've all made it inside okay. They haven't been too afraid to go in through that extra layer of plastic that we put on there. We're also going to make sure that there's no birds in there tonight. So we'll check back a little bit later and we'll see how we did. So it is the next morning. We're going to take another check into the coop. See if we've got any birds in there. And yes, we do. So obviously our first idea didn't work. My thoughts are that the plastic is just a little too light. I think the wind was blowing, creates more of an opening, and the birds have become accustomed to that. So we're going to get a little bit heavy material, and I think I have just the idea. So I have a piece of this EPDM rubber. It's heavier. I don't think the wind's going to blow as much. My only concern is will the chickens go through this because it is a dark color, will they think it's a barrier, or will they be able to visually tell that they can move through this material. So I'm going to cut it to size, we're going to cut some slats in it, we'll get it positioned in the door, and we'll give it a try. So just in the couple minutes that I've been gone cutting this, been a bunch of birds flying in and out. Looks a lot better. It is stiffer. I don't think it's going to blow as much in the breeze. It still might move a little bit. But we'll see how the chickens react to it. Oh, she's coming through. She's looking at it. Most of the chickens seem to be using the door pretty freely. They're not afraid to go through those slats. So we will see if that keeps the birds out. We'll check back later. Okay, should be all to bed for the evening. Let's take a look. And, oh, I do see one bird up there. That's not what we want to see. Okay, so our first two attempts at trying to keep the birds out of the coop didn't work. I used the clear plastic, made those little strips for where they go through the door. The birds still found their way in. All that did work for probably about 6 months or so. I think because we're getting closer to fall time, the birds are kind of seeking more food and more shelter, so they're a little bit more determined. I then used the EPDM rubber, which was black, so they couldn't see through it. Made that opening a little bit tighter and everything. The birds still found their way in. So I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to resort to hanging a CD. Apparently, it's pretty well known. I've known it even before doing these other two options, but I really didn't want to have a CD hanging from my chicken coop. But apparently birds don't like the reflective portion of this. So I'm going to try to hang this outside the door, and hopefully that will scare them, keep them from coming in. I'm going to make a piece of wire. I'm going to twist a piece of wire that I have to make it a little bit more rigid, because I want this thing to be a little more rigid. I don't want the wind to be flopping it all over the place. I want to have it hanging pretty straight down and just being able to turn. I'm going to take, and I'm going to first attempt to melt a hole in the top of the CD. And I want to use a snap swivel from this is a saltwater snap swivel for fishing. These are all things that I've had around the house. And I always try to do things with stuff I have around the house before going out and buying something. It's just part of my nature. I like to see what I can do with what I have. Obviously, I'll resort to purchasing stuff if I have to, but it's kind of nice to kind of use your ingenuity. Okay, my soldering iron's warmed up. Got this placed over one of the holes here. Just gonna see if I can. So this is the wire I'm going to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece a little over twice as long as I need. And I'm going to try to twist this using a drill with just a screw eye in the end of it. But I know I need about 20-inch long piece of wire to hang by. So I'm just going to kind of estimate this. We'll make it a little bit longer. So I'm going to take my piece of wire. I'm going to take my swivel. I'm going to put that on the wire first. Make sure I get this folded in half in the center. Now I'm going to clamp this in a vise that I have connected to my workstation. I'm going to take my drill, hook that screw eye onto the other end. Okay, and that's it. Got my swivel at the end. This is over 20 inches long, so that should be good. Okay, so this is our finished product. We have the CD through the snap swivel. Okay, it can rotate freely. That way when this is hanging in front of the doorway, hopefully the wind's not going to blow this too drastically, but just really spin the CD and move that around, because I want the reflectiveness of the CD to be as close to that doorway as possible. So let's go out to the coop. Let's put in the screw eye into the roof, get this measured, and we'll get this hanging. Okay, so I'm going to kind of eyeball this to see how high I want this hanging. Chickens are going to come out here, they're going to step down. I think this is going to kind of be an attractant for them a little bit. But I'm going to estimate, we're going to put it right about that high. So we're going to cut this. Bend the loop. We will see if that helps. Okay, so we've successfully cleared all of the birds out of the coop. There was probably a half a dozen of them in there. So we've got our CD hanging outside the door. We're going to wait a little while when it gets dark, see if any of them have returned. And we will check that all the way up until the time our door closes in the front of the coop to make sure there's no birds in there. And then we'll keep you updated. Okay, it is dark out. You can see our chickies are not afraid to go inside, see if there's any birds. We have no birds. No birds anywhere. I don't think we have any around here. We are free of birds. So our run chicken door has closed for the evening. We'll give one more check inside. And it looks like we are still free of birds. So I would never have thought that that would have worked so easily. It did keep the birds out this evening. We're going to check again tomorrow evening, see if we are free of birds again. So our early excitement has turned to disappointment. While we thought we had the birds chased out of the coop, they did return the next day. So everything we've tried so far has failed. So in this round of the birds versus us, the birds have won, so we are defeated. However, we are not going to give up. We are going to do some research. We're going to try to come up with some other solutions. If any of you have had success with keeping your birds out of your chicken coop, please put a comment down below. We'd appreciate that, and we will take a look at those and see if it's something we can implement into our coop. If you did enjoy this part 1 video, do hit that like button. And if you haven't already, we would appreciate if you subscribe to our channel. So we are going to continue with our quest to get rid of these birds from our chicken coop. Hopefully that will not have to involve removing the food from the coop, but I got a feeling that that might be one thing that we do have to consider. I am happy to report that no 80s rock CDs were harmed in the making of this video, so that is a good thing. So until next time here on Sunny Side Up Farm and our continuation of the battle with the birds, we hope all your days are sunny side up.